thanks so much, all of you, for being here tonight. It's just a pleasure to be hosting you. And those of you that were here last year, it's cooler than it was last year. Isn't that great? Can you imagine what it was like last year? I bet you can't. It was really hot. So anyway, welcome to our 2022 Board and Commission Appreciation Event. As you know, I'm Mayor Rhonda Pownell. They always have me say that. It's like, do I really need to say that? Okay. All right, I'm Mayor Rhonda Pownell, and it's great. Yeah, I think I'm Rhonda. My first name is Rhonda. Yeah, I think so. Thank you so much for coming and bearing the heat with us. And I do have some jokes, which Jamie kidded me about last night. So, and I have some people that really helped me choose some humdingers here. All right, so here we go. So how hot is it? It's so hot the cows are giving evaporated milk. So how hot is it? It's so hot that I say a fire hydrant I saw, if I could read correctly, that would be good, that I saw a fire hydrant chasing a dog. So how hot is it? It's so hot that I'm sweating like it's election day. FYI, I don't usually ever sweat on election day. So which is the fastest, heat or cold? Heat is faster because you can catch a cold. I bet you didn't know that. So thank you to our staff liaisons for your assistance with tonight's program and your support over the past year. Could you all just please stand? Staff, all staff that are here, please stand. As you all know, we could not function with our staff. They are really key to helping us move forward our policy agenda. They are the worker bees. They prepare everything in advance of our actual meetings. They carry it out. When we're all at home having picnics or being with our family or doing our regular work day, they're working on our behalf, and they do such an amazing job for all of us. So just really, anytime you see them, and after your meeting, before your meeting, make sure that you tell them thank you for the work that they're doing on behalf of our community. So along with updates from each of our boards and commissions, we have a very special farewell for Councilmember Suzie Nakasian, who will be resigning from the council at the end of this month. So Suzie, if you want to just make your way up here. She's been involved over the years with the Northfield Riverfront Enhancement Advisory Committee, the Northfield Transportation Advisory Committee, the Northfield Grassroots Transit Initiative, Planning Commission Council Liaison, Community Advisory Board, Northfield Torch Program, Workforce Development Working Group for the Northfield School District, Downtown Parking Subcommittee, as well as state and regional agencies, including the Milltowns Trail, Hiawatha Land Transit Advisory Committee, the Rice-Steele County 911 Joint Powers Board, the National League of Cities Committee on Energy, Environment, and Natural Resources, and of course the Rail Initiative, which he's been really working hard to get some funding for at our state level. So with that, please.
I want to thank you all. And it's a chapter that's closing for me, but I look around and I see lovely friends and faces and neighbors. That Alice Thomas, I'm looking over, people that have changed this community. And my heart is full of gratitude, but what I want most to say, I'm a national political organizer professionally in my background, and then I went to get a master's and an almost doctorate in theology. And I remain moved by my theological bent. And what I want to say, looking at all of you in this moment of 2022, in this divisive moment of a world that's rent with violence, right? And these awful events internationally. That's the context for what we're all doing, and the community that you have lent and leaned into creating, and that you are creating. And I've been so blessed to be part of it. I've loved it. It was my professional life here as I raised my children, and now they're adults and off to college, so it's time for a new chapter for me. But I want to thank you so much, and the word that I want to use, because it's an active verb, is the love of community, although it's like, we love our community, you know. I mean it in that sense of love, and really tapping into each one of you that have given yourselves and your time and overcome whatever leaning you might have to sometimes pettiness. Okay, maybe you go deeper and you give your all, and you've made Northfield. This is a great place. So I'm so grateful to have been a part of it, and I feel my love very deeply in this moment, the action verb, political changing, world-changing form of love. And I want to thank everyone here for your work and the privilege of serving, and to Rhonda Pownell, who sets the tone for love and welcome and genuine regard and respect. It has been, and I should say Ben Mardig, also where the heck he is. Ben, the silent mortar that holds all these pieces together. So keep it going, keep what you're doing, doing it, because you're making Northfield such a great place. And I thank you so much for the privilege. It's been a great learning experience and great joy. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzie, for your dedication, your commitment to service, communication, and advocacy on behalf of the city of Northfield. Your big picture visioning, your can-do attitude that just never stops, right? It has been really fun to work alongside you, and we wish you all the best in your next endeavor, and you will be deeply, deeply missed. Thank you. All right, so if you didn't get a chance to sign the photo frame for Suzie when you came, or grab a piece of cake, please do that before you leave here today. As you see, Kara's got the ladder set aside for us for a picture at the very end, which I think Mr. Marteg will be bossing everyone around and getting everybody situated over there. Sometimes you need somebody to take charge, right? All right. So I also want to recognize my city council colleagues that are here tonight. Could you all please stand? I know we're missing just one, I think. Yeah, there you go. All right. All of these lovely people are leaders in their own right, and their skill sets and their professionalism and their commitment to serving our community is so inspiring to serve alongside. So thank you so much to each and every one of you for your commitment, for your dedication to our community and serving our community to the best of your ability and being a team player, because ultimately it's all of us here that move this community forward. It's not just one person, ever. It's all of us. And our effectiveness as a team and how we work together will determine how far we get, which is the goal, right? Which is to fulfill the vision, the purpose that we have for our community. So this hasn't been a year necessarily of recovering, right? This has really been a focus of thriving and moving our community forward. And that was really the focus of our State of the City event that we had back in March. So just want to highlight that for you all again, because that's another event that we really want you to be participating in, because it represents your work and the work of our city staff, our Chamber of Commerce, and the many other community organizations that work alongside us to help move our community forward. And so just really want to stress to you the importance of taking the time to not only come to events like this, but the State of the City, our board and commission training event, our social that we have in December. As we come together, rub shoulders, get to know one another, we're committed to building relationships with one another. It creates that positive momentum so that we can work together even more effectively. So just really want to encourage that. Much like how tonight is an opportunity to recap what has happened, right? We want to represent or showcase what your group has done over the past year. So tonight is that opportunity for you to do that. But before I do that, so I'm skipping around, thanks, those of you keeping me on task here. So 2022 also is an election year. So you'll see 3 council positions on the ballot. One is an at-large representative, then we have Ward 1 and Ward 4. So just really want to encourage you all to get out there and vote. We'll have one primary election here in August, but you'll be able to vote in advance of that. So just encourage people to get out there and vote, register to vote if people haven't. Take the time to educate yourself on the different candidates. And yes, there's city clerk, the city clerk's office and the Secretary of State office also have really a lot of information that's available for you and to encourage other people to look it up on where they can find information about where to vote and how to vote. Okay. Sorry. Oh yeah, there you go. See, I'm almost to the end. So again, I just really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. So let's get up to speed on what all of our boards and commissions have done over the past 6 months and what's ahead over the next 6 months. Remember to keep your update to 3 minutes. I believe we have playoff music. Who's in charge of that? Right, awesome. So we have playoff music to help you wrap up your thoughts. So Sarah has the mic. And if you'd like to come up front and give your update when it's your turn, we'll be following the list on the program. So if you have one of those in front of you, I believe the first update here tonight will be from our library board.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Natalie Draper. I'm the library director, and I am speaking for the library board tonight. The library board supports the library's mission to strengthen community, support literacy, provide access to information, and foster lifelong learning and enrichment through all of our service and programs and everything that they do. And since I only have 3 minutes, I'm going to hit the highlights. So the library's new 5-year strategic plan that the board helped develop was adopted in February and presented to council in April. This January, the board helped kick off the library's new monthly coffee and conversation program. So every first Friday, we engage the community in conversation with some coffee. When we were developing the plan, we asked the community what the library could better do to serve the community, and people wanted coffee. They also wanted the opportunity to share space and ideas with others, which is how that came about. The library's strategic plan identified a need to regularly revise and update the library's policies, and the board has revised and approved several library policies, including collection development, circulation, and programming, with the goal of finishing by the end of next year. Last fall, the board voted to go 100% fine-free, and in February, with the support of council, we did just that, making library resources more accessible to everyone in the community. This month, the board supported the Pride in the Park celebration, which welcomed nearly 2,000 guests on June 4th. And they supported efforts to add book return access to the Community Ed Building and NCRC, which is coming soon, making it easier for people to return their books on time. They joined Selco stakeholders and advocated on behalf of all of our libraries on calls with state representatives this spring to support stabilizing the state library funding formula, RLBSS. There's still work to be done there. They partnered with the library to develop and deliver the traveling early literacy library tell kits to daycares. And that's it.
I had to put on my glasses because if not, I can't see.
Muy buenas tardes a todos.
So good evening, everyone.
Mi nombre es Lucina González Mirón y
My name is
pertenezco a la Comisión de Derechos Humanos.
my name is Lucina González Miron, and I belong and I'm a member of the Human Rights Commission.
Y les voy a decir el siguiente informe.
And I'm gonna read you the report. Sorry.
La Comisión de Derechos Humanos. Informe de este día 22 de junio del 2022.
So Human Rights Commission report for June 22nd, 2022.
Mensaje de la presidenta de la Comisión, Linda Larson.
This is a message from the HRC Chair Linda Larson.
Y ella misma nos explica, lamento no haber podido estar con ustedes en esta noche
She says, I'm very sorry that I could not be with you all this evening.
y celebro a los miembros de nuestra Comisión de Derechos Humanos por todo el gran trabajo que están haciendo.
I celebrate our Human Rights Commission members for all the great work being done to live out our city's mission and vision.
Para vivir nuestra misión y visión de la ciudad.
So to live out our city's mission and vision.
Declaración de la misión de la ciudad.
So the city's mission statement
Trabaja por el bien común de nuestros habitantes y empresas.
to work for the common good of our residents and businesses.
Llevar a cabo la misión de la ciudad de una alta calidad de vida para todos.
To carry out the city's vision for a high quality of life for all.
Declaración de la visión. Ser una comunidad abierta y segura y acogedora.
The city's vision statement states, be open, safe, and welcoming community.
Los logros del primer semestre del 2022 incluyen la creación y organización de la celebración anual del Día de Martin Luther King Jr. El 4 de junio, en el segundo evento anual del orgullo, tuvimos un stand.
So accomplishments in the first half of 2022 include creating and hosting the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day community celebration. We also staffed a booth at the second annual Pride event on June 4th.
Investigación y desarrollo de un plan para presentar al Consejo Municipal.
So we researched and developed a plan to present a ban on conversion therapy to the City Council.
Una prohibición de la terapia de conversión. Esto fue presentado al Consejo de la Ciudad el 7 de junio del 2022.
So this was presented to the City Council on June 7th, 2022.
Esto fue presentado, y la primera lectura se llevó a cabo el 21 de junio del 2022.
And the first reading was held June 21st, 2022.
Esta será una ordenanza esencial para proteger a nuestros jóvenes y adultos vulnerables de estas prácticas tan peligrosas y descreditadas de intentar cambiar la orientación sexual de un individuo o de cambiar la identidad.
This will be an essential ordinance to protect our youth and vulnerable adults from these very dangerous and discredited practices of attempting to change the sexual orientation of an individual or to change the gender identity expression of an individual.
Expresión de género de un individuo. Colaborar con otras comisiones de derechos humanos de Minnesota para compartir ideas y apoyo. Esto continúa a lo largo del año.
Collaborating with other Minnesota Human Rights Commissions to share ideas and support. This continues throughout the year.
Los planes para el resto del 2022 incluyen revisar los documentos actuales, estatutos y procedimientos para añadir.
So plans for the remainder of 2022 include reviewing current documents, bylaws and procedures to add clarification and relevance to our work.
Aclaraciones y relevancia de nuestro trabajo y asegurarse de que son coherentes con los estatutos y procedimientos de la ciudad.
And to make sure that they are consistent with the city's bylaws and procedures.
Planificación de la comida comunitaria anual de Festival de las Naciones el 23 de julio.
So we're planning the annual Festival of Nations community meal on July 23rd.
Planificación del Día Internacional de la Paz y la celebración de la herencia hispana en septiembre 2023.
Planning International Day of Peace event, which will be September 2023, and Hispanic Heritage Celebration, September 2022.
divulgación de la comunidad para proporcionar información sobre las protecciones de los derechos humanos para las clases protegidas y cómo acceder a la línea de ayuda contra la discriminación para denunciar incidentes de discriminación.
So outreach to the community to provide information regarding human rights protections for protected classes and how to access the discrimination helpline to report incidences of discrimination.
Trabajar para asegurarnos de que toda la información se traduce tanto en inglés como en español. El personal de la ciudad, Claudia García, ha sido fundamental para que esto suceda.
Work to make sure all information is translated in both English and Spanish. City staff Claudia Garcia has been instrumental in making this happen.
Y bueno, gracias por la oportunidad de servir a nuestra comunidad. Linda Larson, presidenta de la Comisión de Derechos Humanos.
Thank you for the opportunity to serve this community. Linda Larson, Chair of the Human Rights Commission.
Y yo nuevamente les doy las gracias por darme esta oportunidad para apoyar a todos nosotros como comunidad.
And as well, on my behalf, I want to thank you for providing me the opportunity to also serve this community.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Melissa Hansen, and I'm the housing coordinator for the HRA. I want to start by saying a big thank you also to Claudia. We have some applications for programs such as first-time home buyers, manufactured home rehab, and single-family home rehab programs that Claudia has also translated all of our applications into Spanish. So thank you very much. So to start, we have those programs, and we have enough for there's enough unallocated money remaining for only one first-time homebuyer loan left. We have no more unallocated funds remaining for any rehab loans. At May's meeting, the HRA voted to support to complete processing the applications that we've already received by the deadline. There was no hard stops. So the HRA voted to approve the process of all of the eligible applications. So we have single-family rehab loans as well as grant monies that are available for those that are elderly and disabled and need modifications to their home. Those modifications are bathrooms as well as ramps. Also, the HRA annually contributes funding to the Northfield Unions of Youth Wallflower Project. The Wallflower Project is a volunteer host home network for youth to access when home isn't an option. The Northfield Union of Youth then use and leverages the dollars that the HRA donates to pay for their full-time social worker. We've also completed the phase 1 of the rental housing licensing nuisance and enforcement code updates. We completed that we completed with separate tenant and landlord engagement sessions for feedback prior to the implementation back in December. Phase 2 rental housing licensing has started with city administration, and Reese Kareem is leading phase 2, and that will be heavily lean heavily on tenant protections. The HRA also established a local housing trust fund. The HRA established the local housing trust fund in preparation to apply for matching funds up to $150,000 when available through Minnesota Housing Finance Agency. The 92nd legislative session ended without a housing bonding bill, with limited funds of only $1 million allocated through the 2021 budget cycle available for the matching funds. Minnesota Housing hasn't yet published an application. HRA has been working with Three Rivers Community Action to create 32 affordable rental townhomes in the Southbridge area to be known as Spring Creek 2. HRA has donated land and cash to the project, and the Three Rivers Community Action has reported that they will finally close on their financing on July 8th, with hopefully groundbreaking shortly thereafter. The hope is to have the buildings completed by next spring or early summer for occupancy.
Thank you.
The HRA has also been working with the CAC for them to purchase the HRA-owned Washington Street property, a property that the CAC has been renting for years for their transitional and emergency housing program. The CAC had applied for and was awarded a grant to assist nonprofit housing providers to stabilize their emergency shelter programs and to update HVAC mechanisms to deter the spread of COVID. I also want to announce that we have a new HRA intern, which has been a very big help to me as well as the rest of the community development department. I'd also like to thank the city of Northfield for their support. Recently, HRA staff, along with city staff from the admin department and the PD, participated in the Northfield area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism's Leadership Northfield program. Leadership Northfield enabled candidates to learn about Northfield's resources, strengths, and opportunities. Leadership Northfield was a 9-month program that began in September and ended with a graduation in May. Another big thing that happened recently was that representatives from the USDA and Rural Development from Washington, D.C., the State Director of the USDA, Housing and Finance Commissioner Ho, Habitat Rice County, Habitat Minnesota, and the HRA participated in a dedication event that showcased the Habitat Quad on Cotton Lane on Tuesday, May 24th. By Habitat no longer originating the loans for their builds and having the USDA take on that role, Habitat is able to serve more families. And since June of 2021, the HRA has issued 7 first-time down payment assistance loans, issued 4 single-family rehab loans and are processing 7, issued 3 aging in place grants, issued 2 forgivable manufactured home loans and is processing 1 loan, and have received 8 first-time homebuyer repayment loans. And that's our HRA. And our focus now, from now until the rest of the year, is policies. The HRA is working on program policies as well as policies for the Housing Trust Fund once we get that moving. So, thank you.
I'm Steve Underdahl. I'm the CEO at Northfield Hospital and Clinics. I'm here because my board chair is giving a presentation at another organization, and I'm Plan B, so I apologize in advance. I do have several of my board members here that if I'd known you were all going to be here, I would have passed the buck to one of you guys. So thanks to all of them. We've got Cece and Jessica and Jamie and Sarah and Rhonda, so we're well represented here. A couple of things this last year, no surprise, our world was sort of dominated by COVID again this year. In many ways, this year was probably a more significant last year what we spent most of our time doing was trying to get the world vaccinated. This year we actually had more sick COVID people in our hospital and medical system here. Some of that was because we had more people that were clinically appropriate to be treated locally, but so we had lots of hospitalized people, where in the first wave we really didn't. If they were sick enough to be hospitalized, they tended to go someplace else. But this was a pretty heavy lift, including just this, it seems like a long time ago now, but even last winter, last December and January. The other thing that happened is that the large hospitals weren't able to take people, so they got full themselves. So we ended up being in sort of a defend in place mode where, if we had our druthers, we would have transferred somebody, but we couldn't, so then what do we do? And it was both stimulating and terrifying, but it was really helpful in terms of helping us explore the, kind of the scope and breadth of the cares that we provide locally. Over this last year, I think, it gets a little trite sometimes perhaps, but the people that work in healthcare, particularly the people that are taking care of patients every day, I think this started out to be this sort of frantic sprint, and it turned into sort of this exhausting marathon. And I sincerely believe, and I suppose it's just because I'm so close to it, but that these people that do this work, who have done it just without complaint for couple of years now, sometimes with people that are mad at them. I mean, that was one of the really, that people were, yelling at them for trying to save their life sometimes. I think these people are really the standard bearers for community service for this generation. And so if you know one of these people, give them a hug. We always try to have sort of one foot on the boat, one on the dock. We have to think about the future and not just the here and now. So we've opened up some new programs and services within the last year. We've opened up a wound program. We've grown our birth program. We're now doing about 600 births a year, which is kind of punching above our weight class for an organization this size in a town this size. We opened up a new clinic in Kenyon, Minnesota. And we're going to shortly meaning July, I think, have a new urgent care program here in Northfield on Highway 3. The rate limiting factor there is really personnel. Just like everybody else, it's been hard to recruit people, so we don't want to open a program until we know we can be open every day. So I think that's it. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Barbara Evans, Chair of the Heritage Preservation Commission. The HPC has had a busy year. We've had the usual, like approving signs and facade changes, cataloged in the emails you get. And we're also been reevaluating our work plan. But we've also had the less usual, like working to amend the LDC language to be clearer regarding signs and facades, better reflecting acceptable standards in coordination with the National Park Service and SHPO. One result is that we now have a more comprehensive sign checklist that can be used to reduce confusion, even by us, and secure approval. We've had some challenges like striving to balance the bridge square concepts with national rehabilitation landscape standards, which we had to learn, by the way. While clarifying all of this with the Planning Commission, the City Council, and the important role that HPC should be playing in this process. This project has clarified the role that various entities play when city-owned property is involved, just like when privately owned properties are involved. There are many to thank for this positive outcome, including other supportive boards and the council members, as well as the city staff, Mr. Martig, and our liaison, Reve Needham in particular. We all had the mindset to make this work in the best interests of fairness and transparency and faithful preservation. We're in the process of finalizing LDC language to that end. Now to the more exciting things. We've begun our goal of designating homes as local heritage preservation sites. The Norton House, which was restored by Bruce and Alice Thomas, was our first one ever in Northfield's history, establishing a process now that we can apply to other homes in the future. There are just 3 houses in Northfield that are on the Register of Historic Places, but we want to locally recognize and protect more of our own notable housing stock, and these designations will be by owner request. Our future work includes the finalization of bridge square plans, passing LDC amendments, and reviewing new construction on the site of the Archer House. We have plenty to do. Even when there are issues that we don't anticipate, we're ready to work to keep our historic downtown district a place that people want to visit because it preserves and honors the past, making Northfield unique.
Hi. Oh, super loud. I'm Mika Turner. I'm the chair of the Environmental Quality Commission, and I'm speaking on behalf of these lovely people. This year, the Environmental Quality Commission has been hard at work executing the initiatives in the city's Climate Action Plan, adopted in 2019. Our commission serves as the main citizen body to support CAP implementation, which calls for Northfield to be 100% carbon-free electricity by 2030 and a carbon-free community by 2040. These are some of our accomplishments this year towards the CAP goals. Zero waste plan. Northfield's Climate Action Plan calls for a zero waste plan within the first 3 years of the CAP adoption. Community members who worked on the original CAP plan and members of the EQC assisted in developing the zero waste plan, providing feedback and contributing to the overall research of the policy. The city officially adopted the zero waste plan in February of this year. Implementation will be an ongoing process. Sustainable building policy. Cities throughout Minnesota seek to improve public health, environmental justice, and environmental and economic sustainability. Many cities are taking advantage of building-related strategies to reduce carbon emissions and waste, protect natural resources, and mitigate stormwater runoff. With a sustainable building policy, cities can use public financing and their authority over land use to make meaningful progress towards achieving their sustainability goals. To support our Climate Action Plan goals and building investment, the City of Northfield adopted and approved a sustainable building policy on January 4th, 2022. Soul Smart Silver level. In 2021, the city received a silver designation from the National Soul Smart program for its work to help homes and businesses convert to solar power. As stated earlier, Northfield has a goal of 100% carbon-free electricity for our community by 2040. We will need to increase locally generated energy such as on-site solar to achieve this goal. Northfield's designation should encourage more solar companies to do business in the area and potentially create additional jobs. Carbon Reduction Fund. In late 2021, a carbon reduction fund was established by the city. The Environmental Quality Commission gives input on the annual budget recommendations for this fund. This fund will be used in the community to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and build climate resilience through various targeted projects. The Carbon Reduction Fund primarily supports programs, projects, and activities related to the Climate Action Plan. Excel IDP. The EQC drafted comments to Excel for their integrated distribution plan from 2022 to 2031 and was approved and submitted to the city during this year's comment period in April. Our comments recommend integrating community climate action plans into Excel's long-term planning. Doing this should facilitate better ongoing solar adoption community-wide and other green technologies such as battery storage and changeover from fossil fuel-dependent systems such as heating and transport to electric counterparts, which are essential to meet our CAP goals. Water conservation rebate. The EQC and city staff initiated a water conservation rebate this spring. The water conservation rebate is an incentive for property owners to conserve water, part of the CAP plan regarding resilience and wise resource use. Rebates are available for the cost of installing high-efficient clothes washers, shower heads, toilets, valve toilets for commercial users, and weather-based irrigation controllers. Our ongoing projects include continue to support locally generated clean energy, an urban forest management plan enhancing city tree canopy and more volunteer engagement around tree planting, increased outreach and education around the Climate Action Plan items, and implementation of the Zero Waste Plan. Thanks so much.
Hi. Excuse me. I'm Jake Riley. I'm the new Community Development Director, and I'm told that I'm supposed to speak. Thank you. I'm trying to hold this like an ice cream cone. I hear that that's the best way to do microphones. This is also the fourth meal I've had on you all, so thank you. And in 3 days, that's pretty good. So I'm here to I'm Plan D for this particular committee. I'm representing the Economic Development Authority, which Nate tells me has had a busy year, and based on this list is very clear. The EDA priorities are in alignment with the Council's economic initiatives, which are implement economic stabilization, recovery, and growth strategy, implement infill and redevelopment strategies, implement a tourism recovery strategy, and implement the riverfront enhancement plan. So filed under business recovery and socioeconomic work, the EDA is taking steps to ensure that access to business resources are equitable and more inclusive for our disadvantaged businesses, especially as many businesses continue to recover from the pandemic. And the EDA has championed the work plan created by the consulting firm Strong and Starlike, which depicts a clear path towards greater equity in EDA resources as well as recovery efforts. And fun fact, I used to work with the founder of Strong and Starlight. So I'm very excited that you all were working with her and her team. As a major first step, the EDA has made an investment by contracting with the Metropolitan Consortium of Community Developers, MCCD, to increase access to capital and bilingual business resources. The EDA's representative from the MCCD is, and unfortunately I don't know him, so Yanni Hart, and he is, so I'm apologizing to him if I mispronounce his name, and he is eager to make connections throughout the community, so please visit the EDA website for more information on MCCD. The facade improvement program that was established in 2019 by the EDA was designed to incentivize downtown building owners to invest in the exteriors of their buildings. And throughout the 3 years of the program, the EDA has invested more than $150,000, leveraging almost $400,000 in private investment in the downtown, which is super exciting. And the EDA was also highlighted by 5 Eyewitness News in 2021 for that significant investment. The Riverfront Enhancement Program, so you don't need, Claudia's not here anymore, but you don't need glasses, you just need to hold your hand further away from your face. The EDA approved a new program to incentivize riverside property owners to beautify and engage the riverfront in a more direct way. The program was allocated $50,000 and received several applications for this year. By creating a riverfront enhancement program, the EDA has implemented a portion of the city's broader riverfront enhancement plan. And then for the future, the EDA will be taking time to engage the council's strategic plan through a retreat setting. During this retreat, the EDA will review future development, infill, and new growth strategies. And the board continues to invest in the council's strategic plan and furthering their commitment to the existing businesses in Northfield. And Nate says thank you, and so do I, and I look forward to getting to know all of you a little bit more.
Good evening. I'm Lance Sechler, and in January I was elected as chairman of the Charter Commission, but I must say that was over the vociferous objection of my predecessor, who actually happened to be me. So we have a board now of 7 people, and I've been on the commission a while, and for a long time we didn't have 7 people. But lately we've had 7 really qualified people, and the nice thing about it is we've got really diverse opinions on our commission. People that not only disagree sometimes, but disagree strongly, but we've managed to hold it together and do it civilly. And so because of that, we've all decided we're all going to resign, we're going to run for Congress, and we're going to save the country. So look forward to that. Actually, on a less exciting level, we spent a lot of time the last 6 months just working on procedures. And one of the things you find, sometimes when you get into an organization, is how do you handle the little things that come up, like when someone's absent, when someone resigns. How much attention do we pay to Robert's rules? Getting used to things like the open meeting law, which, as it turns out, if you've ever delved into it, is very tricky. In fact, we could be violating that right now. I mean, I think that's why Officer Elliott's here, frankly. But we do more than just the procedural stuff, and we have a charter, which means that we can really govern ourselves to a great degree, and we can have specific things in our charter that the state legislature doesn't have or that no other city has. And so that's a responsibility we take pretty seriously. And we do sometimes deal with real-world problems. For example, just recently we've had an issue as to whether the charter was in conflict with the state statute. Sometimes we can have provisions in our charter that do conflict with the state statute, and sometimes we can't. And so, actually, for the first time, we've got an issue where we're wondering if the state statute and the charter conflict, and if they do, who gets the priority? And I've looked back in the history of our commission. We actually have the authority to get outside opinions. I don't think it's ever been done. But this time, that's what we're doing. We're going to get an outside opinion on this issue because the implications are really significant for a lot of people. It's a zoning change, and so we're going to get an outside opinion, and we've actually got a budget for that. And I actually brought this up to Ben, and I said, hey, for the first time in our history, we're going to spend some money. And his response was, yeah, well, good luck getting that paid. So I might have to buy him a beer just to get this done. But so that's what we're up to. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Paula Granquist of the Arts and Culture Commission. It's so wonderful to put faces and names and make connections with all of you. I thank you all for being here. It's really wonderful. I'm going to open up my phone because I am substituting for Karna Hauk, who's going to be here. And first want to just recognize our fabulous leadership. Natalie Draper is our current leader. She does a fantastic job. Also, Teresa Jensen is here, and she was our previous leader, and we couldn't be where we are without both of you. And Kathy Rush-Visna, who is extraordinary and has been, the whole time I've been on the commission, she's been absolutely the one that holds it all together, so thank you. Oh, shoot, and it just popped back. I wanted to mention our mission for the Arts and Culture Commission. We are the group that supports arts, culture, and creative experiences as ways for us to connect with one another, with ideas, and within ourselves. And so that's how we frame some of the things that we do. In 2022, some of our accomplishments were the new Young Sculptors project by the Northfield High School students that was unveiled in front of the library. I hope you spend some time gathering there and talking with people. A call for art was issued and artwork installed for a new Art in City Hall exhibit titled Arcs of Color, which is going to be on display through the end of 2022. So if you haven't had a chance to visit the City Hall and see the artwork, it's really an inspiring walk. I hope you'll do that. There's a new mosaic artwork by Lori Green that was installed in council chambers. I encourage you to take a look at that as well. Sidewalk Poetry Winners' poems were placed on the northwest side of town where there's construction right now. And so don't come look at that until the construction's done. I saw one of the poems go up though, so that's good news. The Percent for the Arts annual report was presented to the council. John Sterner and Matt Gimsey joined the library in a conversation for a CMAC grant capstone event titled Art in Public. Is that available? Did that get recorded? Not yet, we're working on it. But that was a really fascinating talk if you're interested in that. Matt Gimsey is our current living treasure, and he read a great poem at the State of the City event last year, so I want to thank him for that. And we have artwork from Bridgewater Elementary students installed at the library. There is also a new sculpture commissioned by John Sterner that's going to be installed and dedicated later this year, and I will make an attempt here. Wanbli Mitakue Oyasin, or Eagle Relatives is what it is called. And that is, you will look for information on that dedication. We are going to have new artwork, or celebration of all the new artwork that's at City Hall. Hopefully have an open house later this year, so you're all invited to join us for that. We expect to announce a new living treasure, and I'm going to give you a heads up that those applications will start soon, and look forward to all of your nominations. There's always incredible people in our community who deserve to be recognized for that, and we would welcome your applications for that. And we're going to continue to host our Mixer and Mingles, which I hope that all of you learn more about and join us for those fun events of conversation and just exchanging ideas about the arts and culture in our community. So thank you.
I'll be happy to turn it over to Michaela Schmidt, our city planner, if she would really like to do this, but I'm here. I'm Betsy Buckheit. I chair the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I'm not going to itemize what we've done in the last year. We review applications as they come in for zoning approvals, conditional use permits. As the Zoning Board of Appeals, we put on our other hats, and if you wanted to build your garage in a place where it didn't quite fit according to the zoning code, we would decide whether we would let you do that. But this time, I want to look to the future, and especially to all of you who are already involved. Because the Planning Commission is charged by state statute with two very important things. The first one is preparing a comprehensive plan and any revisions to it, and we're getting ready to do that. And the second part, which comes afterwards, but is perhaps even more important, is updating the zoning regulations to carry that out. And the reflections on the Planning Commission have been that there have been an awful lot of good plans and policies that have been adopted since our last comprehensive plan in 2008. You've already heard about the Climate Action Plan. There's also the Safe Routes to School plan, the Complete Streets policy, the equity plan, I know I'm forgetting some, Bridge Square plan. And so partly, so much has been done and we need to go back and take the comprehensive look at it. But I think we also need to admit that land use planning in particular has been something which has been deeply divisive and exclusive and often racist. And as we look to the future, I look to all of you to how we help plan for a Northfield which is more healthy, because what we do with land has a huge impact on public health, is more inclusive, because of where we allow different kinds of housing to be built and how we connect things, it makes a huge impact on who can live here and how they can get around, and more just. Obviously, this is not something the Planning Commission is doing by themselves. Staff is going to be doing a huge amount of heavy lifting. The council is going to have to adopt it in the end, and it will involve all of you, and also your ideas for how do we find the people in Northfield who don't come to these meetings, but whose opinions and whose values we really need to include this time around. And so that's our forecast going forward for updating the comprehensive plan. And also, I'm so glad Jake Riley is here because I haven't had a chance to meet him yet. So Jake, this is what we want to do. Look forward to working with you on it. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Ben. I am currently, is that better? I am currently the chair of the Park and Recreation Advisory Board. I'm getting that feet. Where? Do I need to be closer? Is that better? Further away? Here, I'll stand out here. Much better. So the city parks department has been super busy, mostly with maintaining all the parks and infrastructure we already have. They've been fighting being slightly understaffed. So that keeps them mostly busy. The park board spends its time trying to give them more work to do. Looking back and looking forward, it's pretty easy. There's 3 major projects we've been working on. The first and foremost is making all of our bathrooms ADA compliant. So most recently, we had Oddfellows project completed. So that is a beautiful bathroom. Go check it out. Going forward, I think our next project will be Babcock Park. There's a few things going on at Babcock. I know there's a retaining wall that's going to be out. We're going to change the fence and lighting on the softball court. I am just terrible at this. As well as making that bathroom ADA compliant as well. Same thing is going to be going in on Riverside Lions Park Shelter. We're going to make that ADA compliant too. That's been our biggest push lately. Secondly is the one I'm most proud of, and that is our pickleball. The pickleball courts have been repaved. They're currently not usable, but we expect them to be ready to go in middle of July. And then they will be revisited to get permanent striping again in the springtime. Lastly, we've been working with the 292 design group to create a park and recreation capital investment plan. So there's been a lot of feedback. That's what we spend most of our time talking about, and that's what we're going to continue talking about going forward these next 6 months. I think that's all I've got.
Watch the door. Yeah, can I check in? I'm Brad Ness. I'm current city council member and current vice chair of the Northfield Area Fire and Rescue Service Joint Powers Board. Say that fast 5 times. The Joint Powers Board is made up of representatives from Northfield, Dundas, and the Rural Fire Association, which includes 7 townships. And I cheated and I wrote them down. Bridgewater, Northfield, Greenvale, Waterford, Scioto, Warsaw, and Forest. In 2021, fire and rescue calls amounted to 659. That's almost 2 a day. Average response times last year in Northfield were 10.14 minutes, Dundas 13.3 minutes, and rural 14.5 minutes. That is why Northfield, one part of the puzzle, why Northfield has an insurance service office rating, protection class rating of 4. For instance, Minneapolis is a 3. So we're very close to what Minneapolis is doing. And it affects insurance rates, and yes, ISO changed their name, and I don't know the new name, so you would think an insurance agent would know that. The fire department is also involved heavily in community service. Some of the things they did last year were schools, went to visit the schools for Fire Protection Week, open houses at the fire hall where the kids can come and sit in a fire truck. If you've never been to one of those, to see their smiles on their faces, it's wonderful. They also do Christmas sharing spaghetti dinner, their annual fireman's dance. I know Lanny Gleason said, "Here, buy a ticket to my dance and we'll come to your fire." They also have an April food drive where they take the trucks around various parts of town to pick up food that is left on the, people leave it on the curb, and they collect a lot of food for the food shelf. They're also heavily involved in the mock crash at the high school, which is a very well put together presentation. And if you've never been to one of those to watch it, try and go. You will cry. They also have a duck race during Defeat of Jesse James days where they dump hundreds of ducks in the river with a front end loader. And they have charitable gambling at currently 4 sites around town. Well, town and in Dundas. Current budget for the fire department is approximately $800,000, which $300,000 of that is to pay the city the lease payments. So the fire department is running on approximately $500,000. To have an organization like that with that lean a budget is truly impressive. We're going to be raising the budget this year because we're going to be looking at, does the fire department go with a full-time chief, or do we stay with a part-time chief? And the board will have to decide that and present the budget in July, which way we want to go to get the budget to the 3 parties. So, and a little promotion on Saturday, July 23rd. There's going to be a 150-year celebration of the fire department. 4 to 7, the fire station will be open, so you can come and look at trucks. Again, have kids sit in them. There'll be memorabilia, demonstrations, and I don't know what that's going to involve, and local law enforcement will be there with some of their equipment. From 6 to 10 that day, pumpers in the park, and that's kind of a fascinating thing. The pumpers shoot the water from their trucks out over the river. And then from 9 to midnight that day will be a dance at the Grand featuring Roadhouse 61. If you need more information about NAFRS, you can go to nafrs.org to find out all the stuff you need. Thanks.
Hi everyone, Mark Elliott, Northfield Police Chief. I'll be delivering the update here for Northfield Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention. The chair was unable to attend today. I do not sit on the board, but I am pretty familiar with their work. With students returning to school and a more normalized activity schedule last fall, Northfield ASAP really focused on messaging to youth and to their families. These activities included a 9-month series called Talk, They Hear You, which emphasized the vitally important role parents, guardians, and other trusted adults play in setting expectations, boundaries, and guidelines for their children. The series included 4 direct mailings to all middle school and high school families throughout the year, monthly postings in school newsletters, and social media posts. A display and takeaway pieces that emphasize the dangers of e-cigarettes and how to talk to children about them. This information was present at both the middle and high school fall conferences. A week-long event prior to prom that focused on being safe and sober. This work, spearheaded by the youth members of the Northfield ASAP board, focused on communicating social norms about their peers. For instance, 89% of high school students did not drink alcohol in the last 30 days, making that the norm for them. And asking juniors and seniors to sign a pledge that they would remain safe and sober on prom night, and 289 students signed that pledge. Northfield ASAP also spent time this year connecting with and learning about work being done by others in the community. They heard a presentation from Emily Fulton Foley, the director of Northfield Union of Youth, about the harm reduction approach taken by the staff at Northfield Union. Northfield ASAP provided funds to ensure that NUI staff have access to trainings necessary to keep youth safe and steer them to smart and healthy choices with regards to substances. They heard from the Mobile Opioid Support Team, or the MOST team, working out of the Community Action Center and HCI. The MOST team supports those battling substance abuse disorder in our community and helps them achieve and maintain sobriety. They heard from school administrators about the challenges they are facing with regard to e-cigarettes and vaping usage. And they heard from Carolyn Ward, grant manager for the RAVE anti-vaping grant, which is being rolled out countywide. They will continue to look for ways to partner with Carolyn and to get youth involved in that grant. Finally, Northfield ASAP continued to support the school district and the community to provide tools and spaces for youth to either connect with caring adults or supports needed for mental health and substance use needs. They sponsored Night to Unite, which, by the way, is coming up on August 2nd, so plan your neighborhood parties. And Northfield Union of Youth helped with this a little bit too, but they supplied bags to registered neighborhood parties, which included all of the paper products for the neighborhood gatherings and a separate bag that provided supplies, activities, and games for kids at those parties. Night to Unite is seen as a protective factor for youth in our community as they make connections with caring adults in their neighborhood that will provide a network of support and care for them. They help to fund vape detectors in the middle and high schools as increased e-cigarette use continues to be a growing concern for our teenage population. And they funded the trial run of the base social emotional learning curriculum for the middle and high schools. This online curriculum has modules that address substance usage as well as social and emotional concerns and needs that might drive usage. Thank you.
Hello, Dave Bennett. I'm the Public Works Director, City Engineer, and the staff liaison for the Northfield Transportation Advisory Committee. So we've got, see Betsy here, Rhonda, Suzie. We have a few of the members here. So just a quick update on what we're working on. So it's really collaborating, really. So it's Dundas, Rice County, Dakota County. Not only thinking locally about our transportation, we also have the townships too on the committee, but regionally too. So how can we improve our transportation system locally and in the region? So a couple of the projects, we have the 246 corridor study. So the state wants to really move that roadway off their system over to the counties, and really what does that mean locally from the city if that gets transferred to the counties, and really what do we need on that corridor in the community? The state is currently studying the Highway 19 corridor. They have a project plan from Lonsdale to Northfield. 2026 would be the segment from 35 into Northfield. So what is the full scope of those improvements? So we've been working with them, working with the industries along the roadway, sharing concerns to help develop that project. And also our walking and biking network, our safe routes to school, and looking at getting that implemented. So that's all.
Yes, we went out of order on purpose. You'll see why here in just a second. So I'm here tonight because Malia Fallen, who is the coordinator for our youth on boards and all things youth for the city, is not able to be here tonight. And if any of you, you should almost all of you have youth on your boards. So please build that relationship with them. But there's also our Mayor's Youth Council, that group of about 18 that don't actually serve on our different boards and commissions throughout the city. And they are similar to our city council. So just giving you an update on the work that they've been doing over the year. So they really value our city council members. And so they have been looking at ways that they can build relationship with different city councils, our city council members, hosting either being at our actual council meetings or having a breakfast, just to have that one-on-one dialogue. And I think Jamie was able to be there this last time. They've also hosted different council members in at their meetings as well, and they really value that. They're learning about affordable housing within Northfield, the factors that drive housing prices, the availability and turnover, as well as the work that is being done to try to increase the housing base within the community. Some of you here, I think Melissa, maybe some others, I think just Melissa, served on a panel discussion for our board and commission event. The group also visited two city facilities this year, the Northfield Police Department. They toured the building and had really a great discussion with Chief Elliott on how the pandemic had affected the police department, how officers are trained, and what are some successes and challenges that the department has had over the past few years. They also toured our wastewater treatment facility and had a very interesting tour and another really great discussion on how important this often unseen work of the city is to our community and to the livability of all that are here. They heard about the potential passenger rail service between Northfield and the Twin Cities and passed an official resolution, which I think is their first, as the Mayor's Youth Council in support of the passenger rail line. We have some really intelligent youths serving our community, and if any of you that have been at their meetings and answering their questions, they're just really well thought out questions and really care about this community. So just really grateful for their work in our community, and Malia Fallen especially, because the program would not be able to function without her in that key position. So I asked Dave if he'd trade with me, right? So one of our unsung heroes here that really just kind of flies under the radar but is really, really important to the overall functioning of our city is our city administrator. He is our one employee of the city council and does such an amazing work. He is in his 6th year and is the longest serving city administrator since Scott Neal. And for some of you, I wasn't on the council back when Scott Neal was here, so it's like well over 13, 14 years ago. This is really important for us as a community to have that consistent, solid, stable leadership that is building that institutional knowledge, building relationships with other community leaders throughout the community, is serving in an advisory capacity to all of us that are on the city council, as well as overseeing an organization of well over 100 city staff members, working with his direct reports that are serving all of our boards and commissions, which includes all of us here. Ben is doing such a fantastic job, and just really wanted to take this opportunity, just slid myself right in here, to acknowledge his service to our community. It is so essential having a quality, professional, just a strategic, really strategic leader in that position, really advancing our policy documents in a way that I have not seen happen for many years. So I just really wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you. He's got the closing comments, but if you could all just join me in a round of applause for Ben.
Thanks, Mayor. I was gonna end it by just saying in my closing comments, due to time, kind of like at the council meeting, due to time, I'm gonna just pass on my staff report for the evening. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Sarah, to Lynette, to Kara, to Michelle for help making this happen today. Thank you for putting this all together, and Mayor certainly had input and feedback to pull this off again, so thank you. Round of applause for everybody on that. maybe just a quick comment that today's my 20th wedding anniversary, and I was kind of thinking how, thank you. It's just thinking a little bit with like Suzie's comments and then some of the feedback tonight just made me think too about like, you know, kind of like good relationships take a lot of work. It takes, you know, good communication. It takes compassion for one another. It requires being selfless. And so I just want to thank you for taking your time this evening out of your busy lives and through your personal relationships and a beautiful evening, which seems to be getting nicer by the minute here this evening. So thank you truly from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for the work that you do, and thank you to staff as well. This is a wonderful community, as Suzie said, and I just really appreciate all the work that you all do. A couple of just little plugs for you. Northfield's got tons of events going on. I did want to plug for communications. We have a new app that was brought from Richmond, Virginia, that Natalie brought with us here, the Localist. So community members can log in events that are going on. You can connect in through our city website to be able to put your events that are going on, to share that. So we're testing that out. Hopefully that'll be well received. We're doing 4th of July fireworks again. I know it's kind of, I don't want to think about the end of summer because it feels like it's still getting started, but defeat of Jesse James Days, we do our little parade and ask you to join us on the parade route. That would be great if you could join us. And so with that, I'll just say thank you again, and let's all get together for a photo op, and then you can head out. All right? Thank you.